Call the meeting to order of the Madison County Board of Education, April 14th, 2022. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate everyone being here. First order is I would like to ask Ms. Brock to read the vision.
Madison County Schools, in partnership with the community, strives to equip educators and students with the skills to lead by example, develop and speak with a unique voice, and explore their academic curiosity to make a positive impact on our community and world.
Thank you, Ms. Brock. First thing up is recognition. We have Ms. Lorena Hall here to present some technology grant recipients.
Good evening. My name is Lorena Hall. And I used to teach here in Madison County for a long time. But now I'm the executive director for the Kentucky Society for Technology and Education. It's short, we call it KISTE. KISTE was formed back in the early 1990s by the Kentucky Department of Education, and when it grew so big that they could no longer handle it because it was all volunteers that took care of that. So KISTE was formed, and we are a nonprofit group. We're a professional organization, and we're also an affiliate of the national organization, which is ISTE, which stands for the International Society for Technology and Education. KISTE is governed by a board, just like this board, except we have 17 people on our board. We have 8 members who are representatives for each of the 8 areas in the state. And those are elected by DTCs, CIOs, and also by KISTE members. And then the other board officers are elected by the KISTE members. I'm the only paid employee, so I'm the person that puts on the conference in Louisville, and it's the 3rd largest conference in the state, and we're very proud of that, and we're continuing to grow. Matter of fact, we're outgrowing the facility that we're in, so we're looking for a move. As I was saying, so each March we host the 3rd largest conference, and this year we had over 170 vendors, and we also had over 1,700 attendees. And I'm pleased to say that we had over 260 sessions, 50-minute sessions. And a lot of people think that when you come to this conference, you just learn. Back when I started when Mary Adams was here a long time ago, it tells you my age, we went to learn about computers and those types of things. But we also learned how you could use those. But now it is so, like this year, it was all about data and data-driven. And so where we are a board and it is formed by people across the state, we know what's going on in the state, or they know what's going on in the state. I just pull the conference off. But we know what's popular. We know what's needed. And so it's very much an eye-opener, and I heard it said at the conference, and actually I heard someone here say it. Someone here said that our goal here is to meet the needs of every district, every school, every child. Someone said, if you are a data-driven district, and all districts are, and I think our whole country is that way pretty much, our whole state, I'm sorry, then this was the place you needed to be. Because you could go every hour on the hour and you could attend, and I'm just going to underestimate, at least 3 sessions that was about data and how you could do data in your classroom. And to me, that speaks volumes. And I think sometimes KISTE's underestimated because of that. And I'm not here to push for people because we have a great attendance. But I want people to understand how important it is, and I appreciate the principals that realize that and sent people this year, because we had 10 people from Madison County. That's more than we've had in several years. And I was very proud of that fact. And along with that, as I was saying, we have people that come from Google. Google buys a room and sits up all day and teaches things for teachers to attend, for superintendents to attend, for CIOs. Apple, we're the only conference other than 2 other conferences in the United States that Apple will even attend. So to me, that speaks a lot. And they buy a room, and they set up, and they teach about their things. And we also have Microsoft. And those people also sponsor us, and that's where we get the money for what I'm here about tonight. So I just kind of wanted you all to see a background of that. And I wanted people to understand, and since we have several principals here tonight, I want them to understand the importance of of this conference. I don't want people to think it was what it was in the 90s, just about learning about a computer. It's about how can you use that in the classroom? What do your students need, and how can we meet those needs? So, and I want people to understand that. So, like I said, I'm not doing that to try to get more business. Yes, it's great. I love it every time I see people from Madison County there, because I know what they're going to walk away with something. Also, the other good thing about it, if you choose to present, we let you in for free. So, and I had one of the girls that was there this time, she said, I'm going to apply to present in the fall, because if she applies to present, she gets to come to the conference, she gets to attend there free, and she just will have to have her hotel room paid for. And so anybody can do that. So that's something else we try to do to get the gives back. We let the vendors pay for the big stuff. We want to try to give as much back to the teachers and back to the school systems that we can. So, as I was saying, what we do, we go to vendors and we ask for sponsorships, and they can buy, you can buy a booth, then you're fine, just buy a booth. But if you want to sponsor, like we put your name on the back of our shirts or whatever it is that we're giving away, we offer different levels. We take every penny of that money, and it does nothing but goes back into the school systems. So this year, we had $84,000. And I'm very proud of that, because it's continued to grow. I think the year I came on, we were at like 40, and I just keep digging and digging and trying to find more people that want to partner and see the importance in. They realize that what they're doing, although they're getting a booth, yeah, they get a booth, they get their name on the back of that, but they know the $10,000 or the $5,000 or the $2,500 that they're giving us, it's going to go back to a classroom. It's going to go back to a school district. Somebody that buys from them, I said, well, you CDW, I know we buy a lot. The state buys a lot. And when my husband worked for the district, I said, who do you all talk to? And so I emailed the guy, and he gave me the contact, and they were thrilled. They were like, we would love to donate money that's going to go back to Kentucky, because we do so much business in Kentucky. So things like that is where we get our money to give. And this year we were allowed to give 11 grants, and I am so proud that when I found out, my husband tell you, I cried, because I called Mr. Burdett and I said, Ben, I said, KISTI grants are opening up. I know in the past we've had one person to apply, and I said, it saddens me that we don't have more people to apply. This is free money, and you can get 10,000. It's not 1,000 or 2,000, which, I mean, we're all thankful for anything we can get, but if you really want to get something for your classroom, you can get 10,000, and you can have somebody to match that money if you want to, but you don't have to have funds to match it. And he got the word out, and the next thing I know, out of the 28 applicants that we had across the state, 4 of them were from Madison County. And that really touched my heart, and it made me feel good. It made me feel proud. And then I found out, and I have nothing to do with the scoring. I have nothing to do with the scoring. That is totally done outside of us, because where everybody is associated with the district. And so when I found out who the winners were, and that 4 Madison County schools won, I cried. I was that thrilled to see that our money was going back into Madison County schools. So with that being said, I know I talk too much. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine.
I told my husband, I said, I can put on a conference for as many people as I do, make sure our STLP kids that come help us out, they have rooms, they're fed. I make sure all my board members have room, and that doesn't bother me a bit. I just go with the flow. I said, but to speak to the board, I said, that makes me a nervous wreck. So, I'm sorry. So with that being said, our first winner that we have is Daniel Boone Elementary, and the title of their project is Virtual Time Capsule, and they received a grant for $9,946 and 90 cents. And 90 cents, and Donna Morris and Jill Van Dyke, they are the 2 that applied for the grant, and I'll let them tell you just a little bit about their project.
We actually applied as a team, so it is our activity team that is working on this, grades 1 through 5. And ours is a virtual time capsule. So our kids, 1st grade through 5th grade, and we called it slices, they're all going to be able to make slices of this virtual time capsule. Anything from creating songs for our school. We have 1st grades doing picture impressions with our art teacher. So this is a full-length, all-year project in coordination with not only our activity teachers, but then our classroom teachers too. So we're really excited about this. We chose a virtual time capsule because it was stated in our grant, the last 2 years have not been, I'm going to say, they've been uncomfortable. I don't want to say that any other thing in a negative way. This gets our kids geared up from day one. It pulls our activity teachers in. We are thrilled to have this grant, and I must say about this conference, I'm an interventionist, one of the new positions you all sanctioned this year. I went to this conference and actually attended one on how to make meetings stellar, and I walked out, like, you can ask my principal, excited about meetings, how to get them organized, how to use technology in them, how to make them bang up, high-tech, high-emphasis meetings for the entire community. So I'm very excited, and they geared me up on meetings, so thank you.
I've attended the conference several different times, and Jill kind of didn't know what it was going to be about it, and she was like, kind of a little apprehensive, but she was like, "Woo!"
I couldn't
And it
stop.
was very exciting, but
We hit 5 o'clock and kept looking for more.
yeah, we're very excited as a related arts team. So that's our PE teacher, art teacher, music, library, and our computer lab as well. We'll be making ebooks and
Podcasting.
podcast. Our PE teacher, she's probably going to be doing today's dance videos that, 20 field day, 20 years from now, they're going to look at, what the kind of dance was or exercise videos and different things. So we're really excited.
Yay. I tried to put it on all.
And our second winner was Foley Middle School, and the title of their project was The Finch Nest, Nesting STEAM in the Classroom, and they received a grant for $9,108, and Melissa Metcalf and Patricia Weiner, they're the two teachers that applied for that, and they also attended the conference. Oh, and I forgot to also mention the other thing, so principals be ready. The other requirement next year, they have to come back to Kisti and present on their grant. That's the only requirement. Kisti does ask that they do that, so that we can see so other people can see what they learned from their grant.
Hi, I'm Melissa Metcalf. The thing about the Finch Nest is it's actually a robot. It's a Finch robot. And this robot the students will learn in the STEAM, computer science class, how to code the microbits that is inserted in the Finch robots. And they're going to be able to use these robots within the math class, the science class, and the visual arts class across our school. So the $9,108 will actually buy us 60 robots,
Wow.
which is 4 classroom sets. And that's with the students working in groups of 2 to 3. So they'll be able to use it everywhere it's connected to the core contents. And Ms. Weiner will explain the related arts, visual arts part.
So as the visual art teacher at Foley, I always like to put a lot of A into STEAM. So in the past, we've done 3 doodlers, we've done Spiros. I love to paint with those. But when Melissa came up to me and she said, I've got this new robot that I found, I think you would really like it. It's this little Finch robot, and it looks like a little bird. It has an option to put a paintbrush pen in, and when the students learn coding, we can code that so that the robot can actually paint the patterns that the students create. So it's called spirolateral art, and I can really see this going like a really nice project. But it's going to be great for all learning abilities too. So even our MSD students who've already coded
They've
it
already
before
coded
are going to be able to utilize this in the classroom. The way that the programming is and the way that the Bird Brain Technologies, who has the Finch robot, has set it up is that it's going to be usable in language arts, mathematics, science. Can't remember how it would work with social studies, but I think there was something in there. But it's going to have all these options, and some of the lessons already written that we can utilize in those classes. We've already talked to a few of those teachers, and with the 4 sets we're getting, those are going to be able to rotate round to the teachers. I'm looking forward to painting with them personally, and I know she's going to teach me some more coding. This was my first year going to Kitsy. I've always wanted to go, so it was my first year going, and I learned so much about Canva, love it. Learned about some other new things that I'm looking forward to doing. But I really did enjoy that as a visual art teacher in related arts. It was nice to be included into that program with Kitsy. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to have lots of pictures of the robots.
We have 2 on hand. We received a $250 grant from Heister, and so the MSD kids have already been playing with those and the paintbrush pens, and they really enjoy just the geometry, making circles and squares and triangles is what they did. So we're excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And our third winner is B. Michael Caudle Middle School, and the title of the project is Sound Engineering at BMC, and Zachary Milford is the teacher that applied for that, and he's here. And I have your check. His grant was for $2,265.87. So you want to tell a little bit about your project?
Sure, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing sound engineering at our school because we have a blossoming theater program and we need microphones. So we have lapel mics and over-ear headsets and some Bluetooth mics for podcasts for classwork as well. So we have a sound engineering club that will help the drama program and the band put on performances that we can record. So we're really excited about it.
And our last one is Madison Central High School, and the title of their project is Person First Academy, and their grant was for $8,185.50, and Janine Mosier and Alexis Patterson were the 2 teachers that applied for that grant.
So, what the Person First Academy seeks to do is streamline students with a moderate to severe disability into competitive work environments. Ultimately, what we have seen happen is our students leave high school and their quality of life isn't the best because they're not making money, they aren't a part of their own decisions, and what we have found is when our students are sustaining employment, when they have a say in their life once they leave high school, their quality of life increases. And ultimately, we are preparing them to be efficient employees, and we're preparing them to sustain the jobs that they already have once they leave our school, and ultimately just have a better quality of life once they leave Madison Central and most schools in the country, really. This is a groundbreaking program. This hasn't been done before, and we're really excited about it.
And KISD plays an important role for us. It's our first year venturing down this path, but as you know, with our students, technology is the great equalizer. You know, our students all tend to gravitate. They can even teach us how to navigate some of these devices. And so we intend to use our money that we were awarded to buy iPad Pros and iPods that will help facilitate our students to be able to troubleshoot out in employment situations independently. So we will train them up in our academy. They will learn through video models on the iPad Pros in small group settings, but then they have an iPod mini where those same videos are there. So if they're out in an employment situation and they get stuck, they don't remember how to do something, they can watch a video model, which is research-based and is a highly effective way for our students to recall information they need, but they can do it in an independent sense, and it's just elevating their level of independence. So we're really excited. We weren't able to make it to the conference except the final day. It's hard to find substitutes for multiple moderate and severe disabilities teachers, but our intention is to try to attend the full conference next year.
Thank you, and I apologize for talking so much.
Thank you, we appreciate it. Next on our agenda is audience comments. We have none. Next thing up is our consent agenda. These are items that we see regularly. We're very familiar with them. We've all had a chance to look at them over the last week. Items to be approved on the consent agenda are the minutes of the March 10th, 2022 regular meeting, the April 1st, 2022 special meeting, the claims, the record of superintendent's personnel actions, leaves of absence, the following out-of-state field trips, a Silver Creek Elementary first grade trip to the Cincinnati Zoo in Ohio on May 19th, 2022, the Fairstown Middle School Renaissance students trip to Kings Island in Ohio on May the 20th, 2022. Tech surplus, 2 shortened school day applications, the 2022-2023 non-resident student contracts, and the revisions to procedure 09.14 AP.12. Is there any questions? No? Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Brock. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Next, we have our monthly reports. Tonight, we have Madison Southern Principal James Ray and Madison Central Principal Brandon Fritz to present us. Thank you, gentlemen. How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for having us here. First thing I wanted to talk about, I was going to talk about the Person's First Academy and show you some pictures of it. So, do I just hit this, Ms. Caudle? She's supposed to be quicker than that. As long as she didn't put anything on there I don't know about, we'll be fine. So this, first picture you see, that's the shop that it kind of started in. At the time, it was open space, and Ms. Mosier and Ms. Patterson come and said, hey, we got this idea. So I said, let's hear it. So we all sat down, and we began talking about what they wanted to do. So that's where we started. I'd started using it as a little bit of storage, so that was a change of plan. Next, so that's what you got now. So we had a lot of help from the community. So our kids that have, they have something on their shirt or dress code change, they go down to these students and say what they need. The kids are working on the paperwork to fill that out. They take them in there and get them the item that they need. So it's kind of like a store as you go in. So we've had great support from the community to help us. And, you're not going into it's a family resource that works with them, but you're not going in and just getting a stack of T-shirts. You kind of get to pick, make them feel a little bit more comfortable as well, but it's a great practice for our MSD students as well. Then this is kind of a bigger, broader range. We've got the big tables that were already in there that we just use. It's a great workspace for our students. They can do a lot of hand-eye stuff and work on projects there. So that's another picture of it. We painted the ceilings, new lights, painted the floor to make it a little sharper. So this is another room right off that it was for food service, helped us out and brought in some things because we want to teach our kids to serve food, prepare food, because that's something that they're able to do, and we want them to be prepared in the workforce. And just to be honest with you, the jobs that we were able to get these kids when they went out, they really weren't learning skills. And we wanted to teach them skills so that they are prepared. One of our students actually is working at Boone, who's graduated now and doing a great job. So we're excited to see this as well. So they're going to be able to serve people and prepare food as well. This is our storage. Eventually, when we get there, this is where all our custodial supplies will come in. Our custodians will bring down a slip of paper, what needs that they have, whether it's toilet paper or whatever, and they will be delivered to the closets where the custodians can have them. So again, working on organization, things like that. So we're really excited when that gets going. This is just another picture of kind of some stuff that they do. And then finally, the washer and dryer, they're helping out teams doing team laundry, uniforms, practice uniforms, things like that. They put them on a cart, take them back down to the locker room so they're ready for practice in the afternoon. So it's really, really good program. Our kids are thriving. Even you see them pushing the cart down the hallway with the clothes, and our people that they thank the kids. And that's what we wanted. So it's a unity thing for our school as well. So this has been great for our school, but at the same time, we know the kids are walking out of our school prepared. So that makes us excited as well. Next thing I'll talk about, I'll finish with that. So next thing I'll talk about is our teaching and learning pathway. I don't have pictures for that, but so we have a group of our teaching and learning pathway kids. They go 3 days a week to Daniel Boone, and some of the things they've done, they're working with all grades at Daniel Boone. So it's high school kids going over there. They are doing interventions in reading and math, one-on-one small group setting. They are doing bulletin boards for teachers, which is a nice break for them to let the kids design that. They've went on field trips with the kids, kind of to help out with that. They've been trained in RTI in math and reading, so they're working with those kids. They've created RTI materials. So small groups, they pull the kids out, working with a small group setting. Behavior interventions with some of the kids as well. I think the kids at Daniel Boone are really, really responding well to just a different voice, a different person. Miss Van Dyke, she sent a great email yesterday, just please have these kids back, this program back. And our Miss Lily, who is running this pathway, has been phenomenal, and she spends 3 or 4 months drilling them. And they go through a lot of the same trainings that teachers do, as confidentiality and things like that. So I'm not, the college kids that are coming in, our kids are doing better. Because Miss Lily has really, really drilled in what they need to do. So they're helping organize the carnival that's coming up at Daniel Boone. And these students are also working with our librarian at the high school, and then some of our MSD students, so tutoring. So we're trying to expose our students to what teaching's about. And we all know we got to generate our own and grow our own kids to try to get into teaching. So Miss Lily has done a great job with that. We're so thankful for that. And the kids, they just walk across the street to Daniel Boone, and it's right by my office when they leave, and they're really, really excited to go over there and interact with the kids. And I think it's helping Daniel Boone, and so we got younger kids learning, but our kids are learning as well. So we're very, very appreciative of that. So then the last thing I'll talk about is the Ignite North Academy. We're really, really excited about that. We're working on our schedule. We're going to block classes over there. So we'll run shuttle buses 2 or 3 times a day to ensure kids are over there. By blocking the classes, they can get through pathways a bit quicker. So that's why we're doing that. We'll also have other classes that are offered over there. And hopefully they're in a pathway, but if they're not, they're getting exposed to what's going to be over there. So we want to do that for our students as well. Big, nice new building, get them excited about something and say, hey, I'd like to try that. So we can get them in those pathways. And we all know going in, it's going to take us a while to find the right rhythm and find how we're going to organize this the best way. But we think the start of it is really, really good. Obviously, we will change whatever we need to do to make it right for our students. So we're looking forward to that. And then I've been in talks with EKU. We're trying to add a few more pathways over there, and we're kind of looking at emergency management and homeland security. So possibly some of those things. Fire safety's been brought up as well. So EKU's wanting to partner with us and bring some professors, and then we're partnering with the community as well, where our police officers, our firefighters are actually working with our students as well. So that's kind of what a few things we got going on at Madison Central. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Fritz.
Going to touch on that here in a second on the Ignite South. But first, MTSS, one of the things I wanted to share, I know it's something we've all focused on this year, schools, as we try and bring everybody back in the building, get everybody kind of ready to go. And the mental health side has been very important, but also just how we treat each other. And when we kind of look at how we treat each other, one of the things Ms. Tipton, one of our counselors, has kind of done is once a month during advisory, we've come up with a video, a series of questions, some type of thing that we kind of show during that advisory, and then kind of just have that conversation with all the different grade levels. And it kind of seems elementary, but we kind of centered that around the golden rule. And I don't know why that went away a long time ago, but it seems like it did. But, we don't always have to agree, but we can treat each other with respect, and that's just the way it should be. And so we're trying to center those conversations around that. On the other side, just want to brag on our guidance department, how good of a job they've done this year with the mental health needs that have been there. On top of that, one of our social worker, Christian Pope, has done a great job. He's in the cafeteria, he's meeting kids, he's seeing what their needs are. He's done individual therapy, he's done group therapy with them. And what's been so impressive, our teachers have come back and said, meeting with him has been able to get them back in the classroom and get them engaged. If a kid has everything going on and they're all over the place and they got a lot going on, they're not going to be able to focus on what you want them in the classroom. And his work and what he's doing is very much paying a difference for us and our ability to keep kids in the classroom, keep them engaged with the lessons that we want them to. So I want to recognize that work and those things. It's definitely things we'll keep building off of. Mr. Fritz had talked about Ignite North, Ignite South. We're very excited about that. I think one of the things I want to talk about, kind of building from him there, is we're excited, but I think the key is we've got to get the kids excited about wanting to be over there. Mr. Clark's in the audience back there somewhere, and he's going to be down there at Ignite South for us, and he's just done an exceptional job. Our CTE teachers have been making commercials. He's gone over to the middle school and met as they're doing scheduling. He's had an open house that he's had to people come in and ask questions. One of the things I love that he did the most is when the 9th through 11th graders were doing scheduling in the hallways, he went and stayed in the hallway. What questions do you have? What's a barrier for you wanting to go over there? What are some things you've heard, some rumors that I could dispel from you that would make you or encourage you to want to go over there and give this a try? And I think what that's done is we've seen our scheduling numbers come in and we're trying to complete that process like them, filling up what's going to go over there. It's got kids excited, and it's kids that may not have. And for us on that end of the county, it's really exciting because they've not had that opportunity before. It's been a 25-minute drive to Richmond. It's a 25-minute drive back, and a lot of our students just simply did not want to make that commute. So now it is there. It's very doable for our students, something to get excited about, and Mr. Clark has done a great job selling that to our students. So I appreciate all his work that he's done and doing that for us. And that kind of just goes into our transition readiness I want to talk about real quick. That's 20% of the high school accountability. And coming into this year, we've had some gaps, whether kids have taken the ACT, and part of that's the college side and the career side where we get points for kids, and you want to maximize to get to 100 points, or you want to kind of go higher than that. If it's a high demand, you get some bonus for doing those things. And our goal going into this year was 86%, which was the goal going into the last traditional school year that we had with no interruptions. Where we stand right now, we're at 77% transition ready, I think, and we don't have our EOPs, which are some of the career side testing that they take. We don't have those results back. We're still missing the Coyote. I think we'll hit an 83% range. Talking to some other schools around the state, I think that's going to put us very highly, comparable or higher than a lot of other schools out there. So I'm very proud of the work that our teachers have done in the classroom during intervention time, during academic time, to really help support them. And what I think that does for us is it allows us to keep building on that, pursuing being as high as we can be in that way, getting these CTEs on both sides of the county and giving more opportunities for kids to explore.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Thank you, Mr. Fritz. Appreciate you. Any questions?
Exciting stuff.
Really appreciate what y'all doing with the ATCs.
Yes. And we're excited that you all are excited,
Yeah.
because we're excited and we understand trying to get the students excited.
Yeah.
We've all talked about that all the time.
I think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles we got to overcome is getting
Yeah.
the kids excited for what we can offer over there.
Potential.
Yeah.
And you're being creative about getting them over there, so that's exciting.
I think if we had them done, which is why I keep harping every month on getting these done.
Tony, it's coming.
He comes to expect, nothing would speak to those kids about being excited about being over there more so than being in that building and
Yeah.
taking a
Yeah.
tour and seeing
tour
what's
of it.
available. It is not anything like what they're used to.
It's something it's been neat. I've been sitting in on some interviews that Mr. Clarkson has been going through this hiring process and talking to these people, and that's one of the questions he's had. How are you going to get that excitement? How are you going to do some other things that really drive this home and create some opportunities? How are you going to make connections in the community? And I think if we do all those and foster the things together, we'll be in good shape everybody's gonna get what they want from
There's
it.
a lot of marketing involved
Yes,
here.
absolutely.
Dr. Gillum, do you think that come July, August, we could possibly do some tours for our students to go through it?
As soon as we can get approval to go through those.
Right.
And get the construction finished up, yeah, we should. And I'm anticipating we should be there, right, Tony? Tony's shaking his head, yes. So, yeah, absolutely.
Have some open houses?
Oh, yes, those, yeah, those will certainly be a part of it.
And hopefully you guys would be there too, just, you know. Yeah.
No doubt.
It's very exciting.
It is.
I'm just over the moon about it.
Megan,
Well, it's
anything else?
exciting because we have girls that are going to be
That
there.
will be there.
So, yeah.
Thank you again, gentlemen. Appreciate you.
Thank you all.
Next up is our construction report by Mr. Tony Thomas.
That was a good
That's a-
lead-in,
yep.
wasn't it?
Hello, Mr. Thomas, how are you?
Good. Hello, everyone. How are you today?
That's a good lead,
so-
as long as he has the right words.
Pressure's on, Tony, pressure's on.
Oh, I missed something there. Love the new monitors. Wow, fantastic. So we'll begin at the March 10th. Move to the next slide. Or do I have control? You all don't want last month's report.
We're good.
So sorry about that. But the sunshine was out today, and the contractors were so happy for the dugouts, for the CTC, for the ATC. One of the things right now that's holding the outside from looking anything complete is because it's just rutted and muddy and puddles and ponds, and it's slowing them down, and it's going to slow them down to be able to, get the finished work, put in paving, because if we want to take people through and give them tours, we don't want to walk through ruts and puddles and mud and things of that. So sorry, I must have sent her the wrong PowerPoint there. Hopefully there it is. Pull the right thing up this time. We'll start at Ignite Academy North. Yes, and I've heard lots of involvement and furniture being bought and colors being selected, so a lot of people very excited about it. Looks like we got a new clicker too. Oh, and that works so well. Windows are in, well, at least the aluminum part of them. And some of the glazing in as well. Now, what you see there is not the finished product. There's another piece of shiny aluminum that goes on top of there. This is a picture like from the construction trailer. You can see the building is beginning to look more complete, but the site is just still a lot to be desired. But they are pulling in topsoil around the building, trying to get some finishing touches on it. Here you can see some of the actual glazing in, as well as the gutters and the trim, and again, topsoil around the building. From the inside, we've talked about that kind of frosted look, and that makes our windows are bigger, but from the inside, we don't want that sun really beating in, so they're kind of frosted up high. And down low, that's actually clear, but it's cloudy outside, so it's kind of hard. That's clear glass on the bottom side there. They don't have the big windows in the lobby yet there, but there's a picture from the inside of the lobby. There's from up on the mezzanine, looking down at all the piping and the welding booths. You can see paint on the wall, so we're getting to that point where things are really finishing out. The big door opening you see there in the background, they're supposed to have all the overhead doors by the end of this week, which is, we're there. So those should get installed. Again, you can see paint on the wall, finishes getting installed. A lot of ceilings are still out, so they can, well, a lot of places don't get ceilings, but so they can have access above, but the ceilings will drop in very quickly. And what a storm shelter. I mean, I want to hang out in this storm shelter. So they've got the subfloor down, and you can see the goals and the scoreboards, and everything's painted down, the ductwork's painted, and the lighting's in. One of the last things that will go in is the actual maple wood floor, so that'll be very nice. That's where we're going to have our construction meeting, so we will not need the boardroom, Jeannie, next week. Here's where you can see some of the marketing display. Some of that will be enclosed in glass, where the students can come and display their goods from other lab spaces. This is an office area, a little bit of a blurry picture, but just show you what there's several offices throughout there. Doors into the corridor and doors into the labs as well. Windows all around to have good vision in all directions. So it looks like the ATC is on better track now than maybe the CTC, but they're both moving along. Speak to the contractors almost daily. They're still on track for the end of May for the owner to be able to bring some of the existing equipment in, lock it up. I would say by early June, it should be no problem at all to have student tours, and especially by late June and July. That shouldn't be a problem at all. Any questions for Ignite Academy North?
The colors in the gymnasium will be appropriate to what the school is, right?
Well, some of our discussion is to be kind of neutral
I
with.
was wondering, because I don't remember us talking about that, so.
Well, the discussion we had early on was, and I'm talking very early on, there was some discussion about, hey, we don't want to tie it to absolutely one school, even though it's very connected to Madison Central, of course. It's,
Right.
it still serves a big population. So the colors are just a little bit more neutral. There's not a lot of, specific, there are some accent walls and things of that nature, but it's not specifically
We
any
looked
school.
at those boards early on, is that what?
Yes, those boards and all the renderings you've seen and things of that nature. And they're leaning in the blue and red, they kind of lean that way. Did that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. In the gym, there's actually, one thing you don't see in the gym yet, and in the corridors as well, there's an acoustical, and it's not just flat, there's kind of a design of acoustical panels running around in there, because if that's concrete, that's really going to bounce a lot of sound. And it will have kind of some beiges and neutral colors and things of that as well in there to give it a little more depth and a little more color. So hopefully that'll be soon. So we'll move to the,
I've had comments that it doesn't look like a typical school. They kind of look at it and it doesn't look like a typical school. I said, well, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
That's right.
It's our concern, so I think it's beautiful.
well, thank you. Good, and good for you all. You all had a lot of this vision too, and, you had a lot of ideas as to the development of that design as well. And no, it's a technology center, it's an Ignite Academy. It's not like any other school, so. CTC, South, Brick, they had some delays in Brick, but finally they're there, and what finally got there, they spent time putting it up, and it is just about done. Here's the entry piece, and again, you can see just all the mud and ponding that they're working through. Just another view. You can see they've got the aluminum window framing in there too, which is very good progress. The glazing goes in pretty quick. And here's just a detail shot of that, where again you can see the framing installed, and they just have some soffit panels up top there to put in. Here's kind of the same view of the piece we saw at the Ignite Academy North. And this is Ignite Academy South, where there'll be marketing displays and displays of school kids' works, pretty much in the same shape with the storm shelter there with the subfloor in, goals. Looks like they don't have the scoreboards up yet, but in pretty good shape. Yeah, and there will be about 12 feet in the air, there'll be 2 or 3 feet of kind of undulating sound panels, sound absorption panels. Give a little bit of design in there. There's a typical lab, that's the industrial lab, looking up onto a mezzanine and into the classroom and into the office. You can see where some rails are removed there because there's a hoistway that you can pick things up with a hoist and put it onto the mezzanine. So I think everybody's really excited about that. This is the health lab. The nursing station beds would be under that soffit to the right, and you can see how big those windows are. But there'll be, of course, a ceiling that drops in here, but not cover that big window, of course. But the higher part of that window, I showed you the obscure glass. It won't be real bright light. It'll just be very natural obscured light. Here's the corridor, just well under development. You want data? We got data. I'm sure Ben loves this picture. We're at the point where they're putting in a lot of data wire. So this technology center is very well fit up for data. Just another picture of the front of where they're finishing up the brick there, and you can see the roof's on, the gutter's on, the downspouts will go on soon. And that's pretty much where we are. We hope to be about the same timeline on Ignite South as Ignite North, so that by June and July, if you want to take students through there, or yourselves, or Any questions on CTC? We'll jump to Clarkmoor's where they have brick up. Mr. Rutherford, I'm so glad you made us take that panel off, because that's the existing panel still there, and they're going to change that, and it needs to be replaced. Yeah, and the color it's a darker bronze color now than that color, so it's all going to be replaced. But they got brick, and you can see the left window there is a new window. So brick's going on. That's around the back of the cafeteria. You won't see it on the front till the kids are out of school until this summer. And there's our cooler freezer kitchen area addition going up, and you can see the cooling tower slowly disappearing as we all wanted. It'll eventually be gone. Area C, they've moved into Area C now, and you can see what a renovated classroom looks like. And of course, Ben and his crew have done, and I should say Chuck and as well, but have put in the data and the TVs. Of course, you all know about purchasing the technology and things of that nature. They've done a good job and got right in there behind the contractors and installed the interactive TVs and sound and everything associated with that. So everybody's happy with the new, clean, fresh look. Just another classroom. This was the band room, which will now be the tech ed area. So again, just nice, clean, fresh. That's another view of the same brick wall we looked at. There's a new dock back there, and that's outside of the cafeteria. So just a lot of progress, and if we could just get rid of this rain, on the outside, I think we'll see a lot of progress develop at all the job sites. The band room addition as well. Of course, I think they've already put some. This is a few days old. I think they've already got some roof joists going over top of this. But this is the corridor leading into the band room. This is in the band room, looking in the supply and office area. This is the cafeteria, which will be turned over. We've given them the okay to go into this area and use it for the rest of the year, so that they have a place so they don't have to go in the gym to eat their lunch. Not every ceiling tile will be in. They have some ceiling tiles in now. Not every one will be in, but they'll finish up during the summer. That's it for Clarkmoor's. Any questions on Clarkmoor's?
It's just a renovation, but it's actually gonna look like a new school.
How about that?
Yeah.
What's the timeline on this one? How are we doing it?
Well, they are going to be very busy this summer because for the most part, the schedule is that when Mr. Sexton and his staff gets in there 1 week before school starts, contractors are done. The library, I think, is going to be a challenge just because there's so much work in the library. But you can have school, you'll have the cafeteria and the gym and all your classrooms, but I'm just being honest. I think the library is going to be a challenge. But outside of that, it should be ready and prepared.
They were packing that up today when we were out there, weren't they?
Yeah.
The library.
They packed up the
had-
library.
Getting ready to move
Yeah.
out for that phase.
Yep,
So.
yes. Any other questions on Clarkmoor's? We will jump to the dugouts, and this is where weather has really hurt people, but you can see it. But we have brick on. Now, let's see if I look for another picture here. That was first base, Madison Central. First base, Madison Central softball. This is third base. We put a hold on the concrete. These dugouts, as you may remember, get a concrete cap on them. It takes a long time, and even after that, while they're curing, they have to leave the shoring in place. So we all got together, and Dr. Gillum and Chuck talked with the contractor and myself, and they've installed a temporary roof so that the kids at the schools can go ahead and use the facilities until the season's over, and then we'll come back and put the concrete on. We can let the concrete cure all summer then. But you can see they've done a good job putting, a wood roof on top of there. So that's third base softball. Here's the home third base baseball at Central. And they put some temporary fences up there and put some benches in there. Now we go to Southern, and this is the first base baseball. And again, you can see it's nice. You could almost have that roof, but obviously we want something that lasts, 50 years, which you'll get out of the concrete roof there. Now here you can see the lumber there. They're getting ready to put this one on, the other baseball dugout. Softball's a little bit further behind at Southern, but again, they've got lumber in there. The bricklayers were there today, so they're going to try to finish that brick up. And they've already got brick most of the way up on the visitor side, and of course the temporary roof in place, so looking pretty good. Rain's hurt them as it has the baseball and softball teams trying to play, because it's been tough. But they're doing a good job, and I'd say the progress is good. That is it for all the projects, unless anybody has any questions about anything. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. All right. Now on to our action agenda. Item 7A is to approve the monthly financial and CARES ESSER reports. Mr. Woods, how are you tonight?
Good evening. How are you all? Good. All right. We'll start with our monthly financial. So as of March 31st, the district ended with a reconciled balance of $86,845,027.11. You can see there that compared to this time last year, it is a little down. If you remember, we got 2 rounds of bonding for our construction projects. The first came in December of 20, and the second bond came in right around the first part of February. So we were at the very beginning part of those processes, so we hadn't spent any of our bonds. Well, now we're on the other end of that, and we're spending our bond money down on the projects. So that accounts for the differences there. Food service, you'll see that it is down from this time last year. As you all know, you have approved several projects for food service, new tables, a whole lot of equipment, and that accounts for why it's down, because we're starting to spend those out and getting all those items put in and making our cafeterias look really good. The reconciled balance, the district has $5,740,990.65 in investments. We're still just holding that at the same, just because rates are so bad right now. There's no reason in tying up our money for any length of time when we can get comparative rates to let it sweep out overnight, get treasury yields overnight and back in. So it's better just to keep it liquid right now. In your packet, you also had the revenue and expense report and the balance sheet. I've went through all the expenditures in the revenue and expense report, looked at percentages to see kind of where we're at, things of that nature. We seem to be right on track. One of the items that I will point out that we've talked about off and on is tax collections. And as of this report, we're 99% collected for what we had in budget. So we're doing really good. The pandemic hasn't seemed to affect that collections. We had some concerns going in that with people not having jobs or being out of work, that it might affect our collection rates, but we're holding steady and we seem to be hitting all of our targets there. Any questions for me for the monthly financials? All right. If not, we'll go to the CARES report, the ESSER report. So just wanted to give you an update on this. We talked back when we developed our plan, what we were going to spend on. And so I kind of wanted to give you an update of where we're at. If you remember, this is 3-year money. So you'll see right there the light tannish yellow color. That's what we have left to spend. We are right now just under where we need to be per year. So we still got a few months of spending. I pulled the numbers as of March. So we got, 2.5 months, 3 months of spending left in that. So we should hit our yearly target to spend over the 3 years. One of the things to remind you here, and for anybody else that's looking at this, it looks like a really big pot of money, and these are grants. The money that we get comes from KDE. We have to spend it first and get reimbursed. So every bit, we have to cash flow anything we spend on this. It takes us about a month and a half to get our money back. So at that point, we're basically 2 months in of spending before we get the first month's money back. So that is something we have to be mindful of with this money. It wasn't just all given to us and we're just holding it in the bank somewhere and making money off of it. The total was just under $36 million that we were granted, and we are right about the $11 million mark of spending. So we're doing really good. We are on track to spend for the 3.5 years that we have to spend this out. I will move on. If you don't have any questions on this, I'm going to kind of break down the expenditures on this next. So of the money that we've spent, here are the 3 categories that we've spent them in. And business continuity and other uses, that's the light blue color there. Basically, that's our indirect rate that we're allowed to charge on the federal grant. This helps offset some of our managerial and business expenses to administer this money. So that's really what is in that section. We've had a few small expenditures that would qualify in that. These categories are set by KDE, so I've tried to put them in the way we have to report it to KDE. Addressing physical health and safety of students. For that, that's your contact tracing, your extra nursing costs, extra cleaning hours, cleaning supplies, vaccine incentive. So that's what falls in that category. And then you can see the green, which is the largest category of what we've spent so far. And that is meeting students' academic, social, emotional, and other needs. That's 71% of what we have spent so far. That's where we spent the bulk of our money. We'll go on to the next slide, and I wanted to break this out even more so you can actually see where were we spending the money. What actually makes that up, the big categories. One of the items there, additional staffing. I wanted to highlight that because as we went into, the past 1.5 years of school, 2 years almost, we went in not knowing what the pandemic was going to do to our students. We had, students that went to virtual school. We had students that decided to go to homeschool during the pandemic. Well, going into it, we had to do staffing calculations in April. We didn't know what would happen come August. We maintained our staffing levels at our schools with some of this money so that we could continue to have social distancing. We could have learning going on where they didn't feel so confined from the pandemic. We could spread everybody out and we could continue to meet their academic needs. We didn't cut any of the schools' staffing levels at that point. They'd already made plans, they'd already made schedules and other things. By the time we knew it, how the pandemic was going to happen, it just wasn't right to cut any staffing. So we kept staffing levels at the same. Also during that, we added virtual school, so we had to have virtual school teachers. You can see that's 29% of what we've spent in this category. Technology purchases. If you remember, we made a big Chromebook and webcams and extended Wi-Fi so that kids could come up to our parking lots and be able to get Wi-Fi access if they didn't have it at home. We had some hot spots that for remote areas that kids were able to work with our Frisky centers and get a hot spot to use at home so they could do homework during this time and be part of the virtual school. Summer school, 14%. That's last year's summer school. We did a really, really enhanced, really ramped up summer school to try and get these kids up and bridge some of that gap. We've got money still left. We're planning on doing the same thing this year and doing a really targeted summer school and make sure that we really bridge those gaps and get them ahead of where they're at and trying to get ahead of this curve through the pandemic. Next is the intervention services. The board approved for us to hire some interventionists and do some really targeted intervention during the school year. So that makes up that portion there, that's 16%. a little small piece of pie right there. We bought some student supplies and teacher supplies for each school. We gave them some money and told them, hey, go out and pick up some of these items that we would normally ask parents on school lists to pay for. Here's some money, go out, buy that. Don't ask the parents to have to come up with that. A lot of these parents have been out of jobs or things have happened and they're just now getting back into it. Their jobs have been shut down for a while. Let's not burden them with those extra items. Let's go buy them. And finally, then, you have some curriculum that we've bought throughout this time and some diagnostic software to allow us to find the gaps and to help us see how to better serve our students. So that's kind of the overall, just kind of break it out. I wanted to kind of explode that piece because it was such a big piece so that you kind of see where we're spending our money. Any questions on?
Just a real quick
Sure.
question regarding the staffing. So our additional staffing for interventionist, summer school, and the virtual school, is that in that particular piece of pie, or is that part of the additional staffing pie?
So what I've done here is I've broken those out. They're all part of, on the slide before, the meeting, the academic, social, all of that. They're all part of that piece of pie. And then I broke it down, breaking that particular piece out. Each of those are different pieces in there.
Right.
So the additional staffing is its own section, and that was just to maintain continuity in our schools.
Right. So those summer school teachers and
Would
those
be in
extra-
summer school.
Would be in the, that's what I was
Yes.
asking. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problem.
Any other questions?
No, I love this, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're very
This
welcome.
is fantastic. Speaking the language, right here.
All right, no one's got any more questions. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report as presented?
So move.
Second,
Motion by Ms. Burford, second by Ms.
Coyle.
Coyle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Mark.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
Yeah. Next up is 7B, set extra duty pay. Mr. Gillum?
Yes. All right, so recommendation to set our extra duty pay. Typically, this is done whenever we do our, every time we update our salary schedule for the year, this is one of the items on there. But we're recommending that we go ahead and take a look at this now because it does this impacts summer school. If you'll think about last year, we paid at the rate, their normal rate. This rate right here, this recommended rate would be across the board for all extra duties that are not typical work duties of the individuals. But we're getting right at that same amount, and this would just be a permanent change until we do it. So that's our recommendation.
Do you have any questions? No? No questions. Can I have a motion to set the extra duty pay for certified employees at $30 per hour and set extra duty pay for classified employees at $13.50 per hour effective June 1st, 2022?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next up is 7C, is to accept the SFCC offer of assistance.
Yeah, the SFCC offer of assistance here, this is for our CATS funding, and it's matched funding. So they will send us $122,521 to use on technology, provided that we spend that on technology, and our technology expenses are above that, so that's never a SFCC, the CATS funding is always a good deal, so recommend we
And this
take
is
it.
our second time using
Yeah,
this?
they come out with two offers. They come out with the first one, and which is usually a little bigger, and then they come out with the second one based on budget numbers, yeah.
Anyone have any questions? No? Can I have a motion to accept the School Finance Construction Commission's offer of assistance in the amount of $122,521?
So moved.
All right.
I'll second.
Ms. Coyle has made the motion, second by Ms. Cobb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you all. Next up is 7D, to approve the technology report. Mr. Burnett, how are you doing tonight?
I've got backup with me
Uh-oh.
Well, as everybody says, good evening. It's good to be here tonight. Thank you all for looking at our district technology plan. Every year,
KDE requires us to keep a living document of the things that we do. And so if you look through our technology plan, this is a plan that we've worked on throughout the year. We've had lots of help from lots of district staff, as you can see at the very beginning of that plan. And then we go through and we look at the KETS master plan areas of emphasis. Those are the things that KDE has looked at. They've done some data studies on it. They've done some surveys on it. And these are the 7 areas that they see are what they would call the most essential areas to address. And so I won't read you the whole thing, but those areas, as you can see, it's robust infrastructure. That's our network switches, our servers, our all that kind of thing. Data security, safety, and privacy. Obviously, that's a big one right now, bigger than it has been in the past. Budget and resources, partnerships, digital curriculum, instruction and assessment, personalized professional learning, and then the use of space and time. The use of space and time was one of those that last year in particular was really important as we were doing virtual instruction. And so the use of space and time went from classrooms to here, there, and everywhere. And so we've been looking through these throughout the course of the year. And as we've identified several things that we've already completed. We put those into the plan, several things that we need to work on throughout the year. One of those big areas that we have been looking at throughout the course of the year is our staff and student workstations. So we are working right now, as you all approved, I think, last board meeting. We are working right now to put those stations into place for this year, and then we plan to do more next year. We already have 2 of our schools that are complete, with the 3rd one that will start tomorrow. We should have that done tomorrow, no problem. And so we would just plan to continue working on those staff and student workstations. We put in new core servers, we put in new switches and wireless. We're working on more switches and wireless as we speak. That will start, we just found out, in the first week of June. And so as we go through the plan, we plan to work on some infrastructure, as we've just talked about. We plan to work on some data security. And in this coming year, we've already talked a little bit with our superintendent and some of our leadership team about working to implement some important pieces of technology. One of the things that's coming soon is an EDR solution. That's endpoint disaster and recovery. It basically gives us, it's antivirus on steroids, it's on steroids, it's on steroids. And so we can see if something gets into our network, we can mitigate that threat. We can, if something does get in, we can track exactly what it touched, so that then that way we can go back and fix that without having to play the guessing game. It just speeds up the process. Another thing that if you look in data security, safety, and privacy that we'll be doing is we really need to start looking at not just putting in place devices and practices at like my office district level, but we also need to start looking at training our staff in a more granular way. And so we'd like to get out there in some of our schools and just talk to our teachers and find out the things that they need from a data safety, security, privacy aspect. We also would like to start putting out some just short little 2 to 3 minute videos, just hey, here's some information for you today. We're going to try to make those a little bit more entertaining than just a talking head. And so we hope to work with Rob and some of our guys to really implement that. And then it goes on through the plan. Let me just scroll here just a little bit. We've worked a lot with our Chief Financial Officer on our budgeting and resources. One of the things we'll highlight there is our E-rate program. You know, we apply every year for these federal grants. You all helped us out with one that got our new fiber, our new 10 gig per circuit fiber. And then we are going to work with that program to put in more wireless, more new switches, that kind of thing. So we've got some new switches that we purchased last year through E-rate. Again, we talked about that. That starts June, and that will replace all of Madison Central, Madison Southern, and Boonesboro's network infrastructure, and we plan to just keep going from there. Next, we have our partnerships. We obviously we partner with the community to try to work through as much of our technology needs, but also to help our how do I say this? To help our instruction through partnerships with the local community. And so one of the big ways we do that, you'll see some of my young guys, they are our interns. And so our interns are a part of this plan. We partner with EKU to help us not only find those people, but also make them the best technicians they can be, so that hopefully we get to keep them. And if not, they are the best they can be as they go on to other career fields. And so that's a big part of, I guess, kind of my side of that tech plan. And then I've got Mr. Muntz here. He's going to cover just a few things. And so, Mr. Muntz, what do you got for us?
So Bill, Ben and his team, they build the car, and I hop in and drive it over and show people how to use it. So really, the instruction part of it, we highlight two key areas that we're looking at. One is with e-coaches. And so technology doesn't drive instruction. Instruction is the umbrella, and it drives the technology, what we can use to help teachers. And so having people in the classroom that use it daily can help give us information so that we know best how to support them. So that's what Ben and I were working today, and the principals have given us a list of people who will be those e-coaches. So that's a piece that we want to be able to do. And then the next piece is, you heard at the KISD part talking about data, but I think it was June that we purchased EduClimber. And so it was a data visualization system where we can gather all this student information, assessments, and then quickly be able to give it to teams of people so they can have discussions around it. So that's been started, and we've been having discussions with our district coaches, our interventionists. Mr. Case has done wonderful things in that. And so in phase 2 with that, we'll look at how we monitor interventions. So really, those are the two key areas when thinking about the instruction piece.
Interesting.
So at this point, do you all have any questions for us?
You guys are doing a great job, very comprehensive.
And thank you for explaining it.
Yeah.
Like, so we can understand.
All right. There's no questions. Thank you, Mr. Burnett. Mr. Muntz. Can I have a motion to approve the technology report as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock, second by?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Burford. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Next up is 7E, which is to consider bids for our Madison Southern High School bleachers. Would you like to say anything in the back?
Sure, yeah, this is just the additional set of bleachers for the baseball field down there at Madison Southern. It was part of the original project that we discussed here several months ago as we got into the dugouts and so forth. We had 3 bids. They all came in really good. We'd actually recommend taking the alternate, which is with Toadvine Enterprises, which is the lowest bid on there that we had. I think $44,477.
And this was something we'd already planned for
Sure,
when we started
yes.
the dugouts. So.
Yes. Yeah. Any questions from anyone on anything?
All right, no questions. Can I have a motion to accept the bid with alternate number 1 and award the contract for the Madison Southern High School bleachers to Toadvine Enterprises?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Brock. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next up is 7F, to adopt a resolution to utilize House Bill 678. Dr. Gillen, would you like to?
I will be more than glad to speak on that. House Bill 678 is recent legislation that was passed, signed by the governor. It's now into law. It impacts facility-related projects and streamlines the process through which we can do that. You all know the different times that we've expressed frustration because we've had to wait on KDE for approval or for review and so forth. If we adopt the resolution that you see here, we will be able to go ahead and move through without waiting on those approvals from KDE. Doesn't change anything in the law. We still have to follow all the regs and all the guidelines. It's just that this is really, when we talk about local control, this truly is local control. It's trusting us as a district and us as a board to make sure to be personally responsible for following all these things rather than having them check up on us. And so I feel that it's a very good piece. It gives us, it will streamline and speed up some of our construction pieces. So I wish we had this 3 years ago. The pictures that Tony is showing would be, they'd be complete. He'd be showing you. We'd have already had some of those open houses if that were the case. Okay? So I'd recommend we do the resolution.
Yeah, this is a fabulous piece of legislation. So we do have those guidelines that KDE used specifically for these projects that we can follow. Do we have a checks and balance system that we're thinking about so that we make sure that we follow those to the T? Because if something gets missed, we could say, oh, KDE, We just want to make sure.
Yeah, and really that system of checks and balances is really, it's already there, kind of inherent in that whole process. You know, I mean, we can't get, some of the pieces, we can't get a deed to a piece of property without, to make, you know, when you start a property acquisition, we can't get a deed until all of those things are done. We can't take a project out to bid until the architect's plans are complete. Yeah, and so we review those, we look at those. Yeah, there's really, it was really a matter of just waiting on them to review, as extra layer review.
As long as I've been on the board, I don't remember them ever stopping anything other than for some kind of silly administrative, you know, deadline or something that wasn't, you know.
Yes, and you'll recall, for example, just on the submission of forms, we've had there's been times when a form was rejected because the other form we had submitted it, but it hadn't been approved yet. So we had one rejected because we didn't have an approval. Well, that ends this, yeah. And as well, you mentioned there is some interpretation and subjectivity on KDE's part on some of these regs. House Bill 678 cleans that up and basically says, you know, it's really our interpretation on some of those things and how we want to do it. So it's a good piece of legislation, and I think this will really help us.
I think the perfect example is our dugouts. They got held up by KDE a couple months, so had that not been held up KDE, we would be done with those right now, and they would have new dugouts playing ball.
Well, the ATCs were held up a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think anytime you can get rid of red tape that allows us to move forward faster, to do better things for our students, it is.
Truly solid legislation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That one is.
So the only downside is that we got to keep up with it ourselves.
Well,
We're already
doing it. So,
We're
yeah.
accountable for it.
Yes, yes.
And you get to have more what we're going to talk about next,
Yeah.
more of the district facility
Yeah.
meetings.
Well, yeah, actually, we shouldn't have to, but if you'll go ahead and take care of this, I'll talk about that one next. Yeah, I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse. Yeah.
Right, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
You're fine.
can I have a motion to adopt a resolution for the board to conduct its facilities-related projects and affairs under the provisions of House Bill 678?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb.
Second.
By Ms. Brock. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. All right, next up is 7G, which is to reassemble the LPC, the Local Planning Commission.
Right.
All right, Dr. Gillum, I think you want to say something.
Yeah, because I want to make sure we explain this one. So in that provision, as far as the, under House Bill 678, being able to look at what we do, we have to make sure that, that our district facility plan, we can't not operate off of our district facility plan. We can't just go rogue and go out here and build anything. It has to be, and that's part of the local control piece. You know, the whole local planning committee is set up for local control. We get a representative group on there that decides our priorities, that then we look at what we're going to build. Now, with the local planning piece here, one of the things that they said was there are certain types of facilities that they forced us to put down in a Category 5. The reason we would want to reconvene the local planning committee is to take some of those priority 5 pieces, which we were going to build. And I'll give you the immediate example of this is with our new Madison Middle School, the athletic facilities that are part of that. KDE, if you'll recall, we had to revise the BG1 2 or 3. Well, we've revised it a third time actually, because we put in actual costs and then they rejected for whatever reason, for several reasons. But the athletic facilities are in a priority 5. It's a priority 1 expense. I mean, when you build a new middle school away from the other middle school, you have to include those things. So what we have to do, what we might have to do is reprioritize that. Okay, so just move those into priority. So that requires a local planning committee. Shouldn't be anything too extensive. It's just to kind of clean that up. And we might not even have to. This legislation was passed last week. Okay, KDE and all of the attorneys and the state attorneys, they're all looking at this to see exactly how. We're going to get more guidance next week. But I wanted to go ahead and get permission from the board to reconvene that local planning committee so that we can look at that district facility plan, make sure our priorities, which were already our priority ones, that KDE had interpreted need to be under 5, can go back up to 1 or 2, and we'll be able to, the benefit there is we can use restrict funds, okay? And that's the benefit to that. So we'll, asking for permission to do that if it is needed, that way we don't have to, it doesn't delay that, because this does not waive any of those advertisement pieces and meeting notices and the number of meetings we have to have. We still have to go through all of that. We just are responsible for doing it. Okay. So that's my rationale or whatever. Good.
Any questions?
Makes perfect sense.
All right, no questions. Can I have a motion to reassemble the local planning committee to consider our amendment to our current district facility plan now permitted under House Bill 678?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Burford.
Second.
Second by Ms. Cool. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Next up is 7H, which is to approve a Schiller PO. This is for our school locks, I believe, to go along with what we did last month.
Yes, it's part of that Safe Schools funding, and which has a very limited scope. There's not much we can spend it on. This is one thing that we can, and these are needed, yeah. See card readers at the schools. Yep.
Can I have a motion to approve the PO to Schiller for the upgrade of card reader door lock systems at 10 schools?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock, second by Ms. Cobb. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Next up is 7I, which is to approve a Centas PO, and this is for our AED machines.
Yes, our AED machines, we got those several years ago. Some of them are getting some age on them. Plus, we have some new schools that, we're putting in some new schools that are going to need some upgrades on those. So battery replacements and some other things become problematic as those things age. So we are recommending that we purchase new, and Ms. Barnes, our chief nurse, is back there, and she can answer any questions you all might have on AED machines if you have any.
Anyone have any questions? Good. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the PO to Centas for 35 AED machine replacements in the amount of $56,000?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Burford,
Second.
second by Mr. Brock. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Next up is 7J, is to approve emergency certifications.
Yeah, this is just a blanket, all of our substitutes have to have a certificate. If they don't have a regular teaching certificate, they can apply for a substitute. But since it's not a 4-year program and meets everything else, it's an emergency. So this is typical. We do this every year. Every district across the state does. So,
Any questions? Can I have a motion to approve the emergency substitute certification for substitute teachers for the 2022-2023 school year?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cool,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Cobb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next up is our superintendent's report.
all right. Well, thank you. We have 30 school days left before graduation ceremony, so things are going very quickly. I hope all of our students and our staff and all of our families in the community had a wonderful spring break. The last few weeks, coming up are going to be busy with, we have state assessment, we have final exams, we have all those projects that are due. But at the same time, it's a very fun time as we're doing a lot of those end-of-the-year celebration types of things, and especially our graduation ceremony. So we're excited about that. I want to start off tonight by mentioning that on March 24th, the state legislature, we kind of patting them on the back there for the facilities change. But on March 24th, they passed House Concurrent Resolution 47A, which was a concurrent resolution commending Madison County Schools for using the farm-to-school concept for school meals and encouraging other school districts to do so. So we appreciate Representative Deanna Frazier Gordon for sponsoring that resolution and her acknowledgement of the work that we've done as a county, and specifically our food service team and Mr. Anderson. They've done a great job in building that relationship with their local farmers, so we appreciate that. Also, I'm going to pat our legislators on the back one more time because for those who voted for some public education bills, certainly Representative Frazier, again, Senator Carpenter, Representative Bill Wesley, Representative Timmy Truitt, they really stood up in support of children throughout Madison County with some of their pro-education pieces, and we appreciate that. As you heard earlier, progress is continuing with our academies. We had principals here talking about that. We've had, Tony's talked about it from the construction side. I've continued to meet with local industry. On March 22nd, I had a meeting with Hitachi down in Berea and some of the expansions that they have. Exciting stuff going on down there. And I also attended the open house over at Kentucky Tech later on that evening on March 22nd. So Kentucky Tech, Madison County, we're taking that over. We will assume operation on July the 1st. And their open house was really nice, had a lot of people out there, had the teachers, the students, a lot of great, just some presentations and some discussions. We had a lot of business folks from our community, so we appreciate that. Exciting things happening with career tech education in Madison County. Other things I've been involved with this month were the District Administrators National Leadership Institute, did that over spring break, April 6th to the 8th, and April 11th was at the Bluegrass Tomorrow Higher Ed Consortium down at Berea College. Also able to mix in a few school visits along the way. Next week, we conduct our second round of allocation meetings with schools as we get our numbers for next year. And then, that determines our staffing levels. And then I will begin evaluation site visits the following week. So that's my superintendent report.
Next up is comments from the board.
I had a great morning visiting Clarkmoor's, Kit Carson, and Whitehall. If you've never seen it, there's really nothing quite as cute as baby chicks and elementary students. It's just stellar.
Yep.
The kids were engaged. They were excited to share with us what they were doing in each of the classrooms, and it was so much fun.
And we learned some Easter dances.
There you go.
Yes, those both.
Oh, and Boonesboro. I was at Boonesboro as well. So.
Yeah, actually, one of the grades, first grades come out and actually got us to come in and see their baby chicks. So they were very excited about their baby chicks. And also, when we was out visiting some schools this morning, a lot of people wonder why we have so many Chromebooks. But every class we went in, these kids were on their Chromebooks. They're taking the iReady. They were switching from one lesson to another. And these kids are just, we sat back and watched them for a few minutes. I mean, they were taking their tests just like we use a computer every day, and it's part of their school day. It's really amazing what they can do on these computers. It makes everything more efficient. So, anyone else, anything? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Brock,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Burford. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.